Hey y'all, welcome back to Inclusive Leadership. This week we are taking a look at something called Knowing Your People. And I titled it as this because networking and creating a personal board of directors is all about knowing who and who is with you and who is for you, and how those people can help you get to achieve your dreams and your ambitions. All right, so why is it important to have people as a leader? Well, number one, we all need people, whether we are leading those people, whether we're following, we need people to come around us. And we need them to advise us, encourage us, remind us of our personal mission, what we are doing, why we are doing what we're doing. We need those people to advocate for us. We need those people to celebrate personal and professional wins when things go right the way that we want them to. We need people to empathize with us when things go wrong, who are willing to sit with us, lament with us when things don't go as we planned. We need people to cast vision when we need help dreaming for the future. There will come times in your life when you feel like you are at a roadblock and you can't think about what will come next. Maybe you experience the loss of a job or the loss of somebody close to you in your family. Things that you thought defined your future might change. And when transition comes, it's really important to have people who can come around you and cast vision for what comes next. And with that, you need people to map out a plan when you don't know what's next. So, like I said, when those things happen, you need someone who will help you cast the big vision, and then someone who will help you map out the plan to get there. How do you know who your people are? Well, figuring out who your people are is a matter of asking the right questions, because undoubtedly you already have these people in your life, and you just need to identify them as your people, the people who are going to ride with you, the people who are going to be the person that gives you advice, help you map out when things go wrong, all those things that we just listed. How do you know who those people are? Well, we're going to go through a series of questions to help you create a list. So right now I want you to take out a piece of paper, or you can use your phone, and I want you to think about the relationships in your life and answer the following questions as it relates to existing relationships that you already have. So, number one, who has been a support and advocate to you throughout your life? Who has stood by your side? Who has talked to people on your behalf? Number two, who is someone you look up to and want to be like in your life that you have relationship with? That you're like, I want to be like that person. Is it a teacher? Is it a friend of your family? Is it an aunt or an uncle? Maybe it's an older friend. Who do you want to be like in your life? Number three, who encourages you in your times of need? I think that one's pretty self explanatory. Who comes alongside you and reminds you who you are? Who encourages you and points out the things that are good and wonderful about your personality and your gifts and your skill set? Number four, who sees in you what you don't see in yourself? So, really similar to the person that encourages you. Who can see things in you and skills in you and ability in you and potential in you that you don't see in yourself? Who are the people in your life that keep you on track with your future? Maybe that's a parent or an older sibling who says, come on, keep at it, keep at it, keep at it. You're on the right track. Stay on this track. Don't veer to the right, don't veer to the left, stay on track. Who is that person for you? Who in your life celebrates when you get a good grade or a new job? Who empathizes with you when you've gone through really, really hard things? Who's willing to sit with you in those hard things? Who do you feel safe to share your craziest, wildest dreams and ideas for the future with? The things that you know like nobody else will support or come around. Who do you feel safe sharing those ideas with, knowing that they will encourage you as you begin to incubate and process that dream or idea? Number nine, who gives you the best advice about school, work, and life? Who do you trust to ask for advice in all the areas of your life? And number 10, who do you trust to be honest and upfront with you in all things? So the people on your list don't have to be someone who you can answer all of these questions for. It can be, you might have someone in your life who is a really good advocate for you, but they maybe aren't really great at being super honest with you. Or you might have somebody that, can help you dream and see big things for your life. But they might not always be, the person who can keep you on track with your future because you don't see them all that often. So once you have that list created, maybe it's 3 people, maybe it's 25 people, I don't know. But you have to have somewhere to start. So even if it's small, don't worry. So as you continue to grow in your education, in your profession, in your career, and just in life, you might wonder, how do you continue to add people to your list? Well, we call that networking, adding people to the Your People list, or to the Rachel's list, or to the Rachel's people list, rather. And so networking is a practice of building new relationships. It is an important way to create a web of support and connection for yourself by inviting other people into your life that could potentially offer friendship. It might be a business partnership. It might be them offering you a job or an internship or advice or connections to other professionals. The possibilities around networking are endless because it's all about building a support system of people who know you and at least see something in you that made them want to connect with you. And they are going to be so willing to connect you then with other people. This is a tip that I have remembered from the day it was shared with me in college. Always, always, always remember, just as important as what you know and what you learn is who you know. And so it's really important to continue to build out your list of people that are going to support and come around you, even if it's just for a couple of things. These don't have to be super deep relationships. They don't have to be your mentor. It might be a person that you talk to once a year, but this is someone who's in your network and who you could call upon either to connect them with someone else or potentially to connect you to someone else. So here are some really practical tips for networking as you begin your continuing to build out your list. Number 1, meet people through other people. Cold calls are great. Cold calls just mean that you might reach out to somebody that you've never met before and you don't have any personal relationship with them. So if I cold call Channing Tatum through his Instagram DMs, it might be really hard for me to get him to, respond or connect back with me. It's really important to meet people through other people because automatically, when you're meeting somebody new that you have a shared connection with, you already have disarmed them and they feel like they can trust you a little bit because you come at the recommendation of a friend of theirs. So meet people through other people. So I have a friend that works in LA and she works in television. And I know that she has a connection with the assistant to one of Channing Tatum's assistants. And so if I were to connect through my connections to her connections to Channing Tatum's connections, he might be a little bit more willing to see me than if I just DM'd him. Number 2, leverage social media and connect where appropriate. So connecting via social media with Channing Tatum wouldn't have made a whole lot of sense. But if I was trying to connect with somebody that I wanted to maybe learn a little bit more about a career, I might use a platform called LinkedIn, which is a social media platform aimed at helping people develop professional relationships. It's literally designed with networking in mind. So if you don't already have a LinkedIn, I encourage you to go ahead and make one. And you don't have to have a job to make a LinkedIn. You can put student and then maybe describe what some of those ambitions are. And we'll talk a little bit more about that either on Microsoft Teams or potentially in the weeks to come, how to build out a really appropriate LinkedIn as you continue to develop networking relationships. But you can also leverage social media in other ways. Some of you are really gifted on social media, especially like Instagram. And that's a space where you can garner a lot of influence and work through a lot of brand development. And I know we have one student who developed her own business in quarantine and is using social media, Instagram, as a platform for her business. And that's a great way to network with other local businesses, other business owners, and I'm sure she would be happy to share that with y'all in Microsoft Teams. Number 3, respect the relationship and don't ask for a job outright. What's really special about networking relationships is that as you begin to develop a deeper connection with that person, as you continue to make connections with shared similarities, maybe you like the same things, or you are in the same industry, you have the same ambitions in mind, you will be thought of. As opposed to having to ask, people will ask you. And so, what's really important is to respect the relationship and don't ask for a job, because then that makes the relationship completely transactional. I meet with you, you give me a job. That's a transaction. And what really you want to do when you're networking is build transformational relationship. And transformational relationship means I care about you first as a person, and then because we have a relationship, you're willing to think of me when job opportunities arise. Number 4, ask for advice. This is a great way to connect with somebody, especially if they're a person that's older than you or that you look up to or want to be like. Asking for advice is a great foot in the door because honestly, people really appreciate it. It makes them feel honored. It can make them feel complimented that you would want to ask them for advice. And so there are a couple of ways that you can get your foot in the door with that. Number 1 is an informational interview. So saying, hey, I'm really interested in learning more about your job. I don't necessarily need to shadow you, but I'd really like to just hear more about how you got to where you are. And so you get the chance to interview them and ask them about what their role is in their industry. Another way is to ask for advice on your resume and ask them to help you workshop that resume for the industry that you are looking to be a part of. Number 5, respect the other person's time. I always recommend scheduling 30 to 45 minutes, an hour if you have a connection with this person already, but no more than an hour of their time, and really respect their schedule. If you guys end up going over an hour, that's happened to me before, that's awesome, but really be cognizant, and when that hour starts to approach, say, hey, I want to respect your time. If you need to go, that's okay. No worries at all. I'd love to connect again, and set up another time to meet. Number 6, let the other person do most of the talking and ask good questions. What they will remember is that you were a really good listener. And so allowing them to remember you in that light is going to encourage them to want to meet with you again. And be sure to ask really good questions. Be thoughtful about your questions before even getting to your meeting, and it will feel really natural as you start to interject those and learn more about the person that you're engaging with. Number 7, ask them directly when you get to the end of that conversation, is there anyone you can connect me with that? And be really specific. For example, I was networking with a city manager once when I was really interested in that career. And I said, is there anyone else that you'd be willing to connect me with that has been a city manager for a small city? I'm interested in city managing a small city or learning about the differences between small cities and large cities. And so ask really specifically, because then that invites you to have access to their network. And then that's how your network continues to grow. Number 8, follow up. So create a reason to connect again with this person so that you can continue developing that relationship. Even if it's to say, hey, I'd love to hear more about blank. Or, hey, we haven't connected in a month or two. I'd love to catch up and see how you're doing. And then number 9, thank them. They took time out of their schedule to meet with you, and at the very least, you can send them an email, but a handwritten note is so great to thank somebody, and it's really memorable. So that's our networking tips. So now you might be asking yourself, what do I do with this list? Well, I want you to navigate over to our class files on Microsoft Teams under the Know Your People tab. You'll find the Personal Board of Directors handout, and it looks like this below. And you'll throw your name and your date on there. And I'm just going to read this in case there's any questions that might arise. I'll try to provide some clarity. Everyone needs a team of people, a personal board of directors, who can provide support for their thought leadership journey. And thought leadership journey is just to mean leadership journey. And as you're mapping out what your leadership journey will look like. These are people you can call when faced with day-to-day decisions, crossroads, and challenges. You might ask for their insight on your ideas and point of view, um, as well as feedback on a blog post or a speech. The members of your personal board of directors don't necessarily know they're on your board, and you won't necessarily call all of them every time you need advice. However, having a personal board of directors can be critical to your success as a thought leader. Think about which vendors, editors, or ghostwriters, more experienced thought leaders, trusted colleagues, or experts in your particular niche, just means your specialty, might be willing to share their knowledge and weigh in on your efforts. So, what you're going to do is I'd like you to take a look at this worksheet, and I want you to add the names or initials of each individual around that table. Fill in a maximum of 10 names from your list that you created around the outside. If you had a lot of names, that's okay. I want you to fill in just a max of 10. And these should be individuals that champion you, offer you support, and that have experience that could be valuable to you down the road. And by experience that could be valuable, I mean that they've lived enough life that they can speak into, provide feedback and advice as you start to make decisions in your life and in your career. And then on the worksheet, I'd like you to answer these questions right on there. You can type it in, it should be fillable. What are 3 ways your personal board of directors can help in the year ahead? What other types of people do you need on your personal board of directors? And by types of people, I mean, maybe you don't have anybody right now that you look up to and want to be like, or you don't know anybody that you want a similar career to. That might be a person that you need still on your personal board of directors. Maybe you don't know anybody who owns a small business, but you are working on a small business right now. And so, what kind of people do you need to add to your personal board of directors that can help advance your career and opportunities? See, what are 3 actions you can take to build your personal board of directors this year and add more people to it? And maybe it's not even just adding people, but it's maybe switching some folks out and adding people that maybe fit your ambitions better or more. So with that, I just want you to note that as you grow and mature in your field of work study and ambition, you may outgrow some of the people on your board. And this doesn't mean that they are not good friends or a good support system. This just means you'll inevitably develop new needs and want to fill your board with individuals who can meet them. So if you are starting a small business, you might have a couple of small business owners on your personal board of directors and in mind that you want to run stuff by. But if they continue to have a small business that's less than 20 employees and your business starts to grow rapidly, and before you know it, you have 100 employees and you're no longer a small business, you're going to want some different people on your personal board of directors. You're going to need some people with different experience to speak into the decisions that you're making. And so I just want to encourage you that that doesn't mean that you don't still love those people or want them to speak into your life, but you also need to be always considering who can you add to your personal board of directors. And that is where we're going to finish up today, guys. Go ahead and go over and work on that worksheet. Upload it onto the post page in our Microsoft Teams so we can take a look at what you came up with. Maybe you can encourage your fellow classmates and even encourage me as I continue to review my personal board of directors. I would love to see what you come up with as ways that you can ask your personal board of directors to help you in the year ahead, ways that you can build your personal board of directors, and what types of people you're looking for. And maybe, even myself or other classmates can add to that personal board of directors or connect you, and we can share each other's networks. So have a great day, and I look forward to seeing you next week.